Hello, welcome to UNAIDS LAC Update, another edition, and today we're going to talk about the Global AIDS Update 2023, the path that ends AIDS, that we have just released in UNAIDS, and we have Luisa Cabal, UNAIDS Regional Director for Latin America and the Caribbean. Thank you, Luisa, for being with us. I would like to start with the question about the main messages for the Caribbean region. What can we read in this report that allows us to build the joint response to HIV in the region?
Yes, my message in the Caribbean is one message of hope. Hope because we've had impressive reductions in new infections since 2010, and we have reduced number of deaths also due to AIDS since 2010. So great progress, which celebrates the important commitment of governments of the region in terms of their investments, but also communities, right, leading the change, pushing for change, and that must be a cause to give us hope. However, we also know that we really need to accelerate our actions from now until 2030 on several fronts. One of those fronts is actually on financing. The Caribbean response is funded. I think it's around 70% of the funding comes from external donors, international cooperation. There has been great commitment, but to succeed, we need to work with national governments to make sure that the response becomes less dependent on international donors, and that while integrating HIV responses within primary health care, the response is covered with national funds. That's one challenge we have, but I'm sure we will be working with stakeholders in that direction. We also know that men who have sex with men, gay men, trans women are quite impacted broadly in Latin America and the Caribbean, but I think that this is also linked to stigma and discrimination, but stigma and discrimination where you also have the added component of criminal laws that make same-sex conduct punishable does not help. It's not only a human rights issue. It ensures that people are afraid to get tested. People are afraid of being judged, or if they're judged and are mistreated in a health facility, they don't come back. So we really need to invest in those interventions that tackle ending stigma and discrimination. And of course, one of a concrete action where the Caribbean is showing signs of progress is actually changing these discriminatory laws. We have, between 2022 and 2023, several countries in the region, and to mention Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, St. Kitts and Nevis, decriminalized same-sex conduct, and so showing progress in moving in that right direction. So we need financing, we need an enabling environment that does not discriminate, and I would say we also need to not lose focus on some populations we've left behind, children amongst them. Just to mention that we have a number that only 39% of children living with HIV in Latin America and the Caribbean were on treatment, while in the Caribbean, 68% of adults are accessing treatment. So we need to focus on the children, but also focus on adolescent girls and young women and young men to make sure they're getting the services they need, the information they need. Sexuality education, for example, and the different commodities that should be available for them to really exercise their rights and also prevent HIV transmission.
Well, the clock's ticking. We don't have many years ahead of us until we meet the targets for 2030. What is the message? What is it that we know that we should be doing and be doing better and faster?
The clock is ticking, and so we need to accelerate and invest on what we know works. We know that combination prevention, basically the toolbox available to us for prevention, should be invested in and made available by communities, by governments, and we have PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis, which is a tool for HIV prevention that should be available for populations most at risk. We have that. We need to scale up use of PrEP. We need to invest in anti-stigma and anti-discrimination measures. We know that training all the personnel in health facilities, from the doorman to the nurse to the doctor, is what is needed to make sure that key populations come to the services, that they feel comfortable in the services. And we know that empowering communities to not only monitor those services, but provide the services themselves, such as prevention services, empowers others and allows us to reach to these groups that, as I said, sometimes are fearful of going to traditional services. And we need to increase investments, national investments, to make sure that our responses are sustainable, that all the tremendous progress we've made in Latin America and in the Caribbean, we are not set back. So it is possible. We know what to do. Now let's roll up our sleeves, get the political will and the investments to get there.
Okay, thank you, Luisa. Thank you for being with us for this edition of UNAIDS LAC Update. We hope to see you soon here talking about interesting and important topics in the response to HIV. See you soon.